following my passions was one element where I started to be able to start to love myself and love the impact and the work I was doing in the world. When I took the money out of the equation and I stopped looking for the safe routes, looking for the 9 to 5 that was going to fit my money needs, but not fill me up spiritually.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to the Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here again. I have one of the amazing hearts on the planet. He's also brilliant at everything he does with marketing and filmmaking and all kinds of stuff. And he's a consummate student. He's studying spirituality, near-death experience, people for 10 years, books, whatever. I don't know, I don't know all what he's got a lot. He's one of those people that's just constantly pouring his heart and soul into everything and gives his all. And I can't say enough about him. So, Evan, I'm just so grateful to have you on the show today.
Grateful to be here. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, so let's go ahead and share more about you. Evan Galeano is an award-winning filmmaker, brand and marketing strategist, and founder of Brand Story Video Marketing Agency. Evan helps entrepreneurs and startups to get clear on their brand story and helps them capture their story with powerful content that captivates the world. So today we're talking about the spiritual side of things because Evan's very spiritual, and there is that spiritual essence of branding, isn't it? I'm fascinated by this idea. I don't think I've ever heard someone say it quite like that before. The spirituality of branding. So let's just start there for a sec. I mean, I will say we met at this incredible event that you guys will keep hearing about on my podcast, the Red Pill XP event. And it was incredible being up there in the mountains near San Diego. And oh my God, the connections are through the roof and the funds to the roof. The opportunity to expand and learn more things was incredible as well, and incredible experiences. So yeah, it's a really great bonding time for all the red pillars and the came together there, Evan. So they're really fantastic. And you were there. Evan was there with the film, documenting the whole thing and producing incredible, clips of what was going on and more. So yeah, it was really incredible being there with you, Evan.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, it was an awesome experience. I can't wait to do it again in a few months. It's coming back up again in April.
Yeah, we got another one right around the corner. So, you guys, if you're like, I'm tired of this Matrix BS, it's time to break loose. And what's this new world gonna be that we're creating right now? You gotta check it out. All right, so Evan, what is the spirituality of branding?
Oh man. Well, I guess to get into that, I would need to start for me spiritual like what
Yeah,
spirituality really
break
like
it down. Yeah.
for me, how I see things. It definitely goes back to a time because I was raised Catholic, and then somewhere along the lines there, I fell away from that form of organized religion, with a lot of roots in in like a more ancient time, and I was lost for a good period of time, into my early 20s. I was lost and seeking in all the wrong places, seeking validation, seeking to fill this hole that I only found much later to find that was God, and that was that love, right? Both learning to love others, love myself. That whole idea, uh, it doesn't really get taught to us in schools, even in the organized Catholic Church. That idea of loving yourself didn't really exist. It was more of like humble yourself in front of God, and you're nothing, you know, like it was how I, at least how I felt. Maybe that's, and there's just maybe a specific teachers, and there's maybe there other people had a better experience. But for
Mhm.
me, what really came down to me finding my truth and then finding my way back to God and spirituality through different means was when I, when I'd say that the getting into the following my passions was one element where I started to be able to start to love myself and love the impact and the work I was doing in the world. When I took the money out of the equation and I stopped looking for the safe routes, looking for the 9 to 5 that was going to fit my money needs, but not fill me up spiritually.
Mhm.
And I think I'm grateful that I just had that intuition from a young age. I don't think I was ever, my parents, they supported me. They would support me. I think they saw that I had those abilities in film. So I have a lot to thank them for, that they didn't force me into, no, you have to go to school to be a doctor or a lawyer, which was, to be honest, they still felt that way, but they saw that I was clearly passionate about film, and they weren't going to stop me there, even though they thought, as most people do, filmmaking, that's not a safe
Starving artist kind of
path.
thing. Right.
Right. Right. And that's not what they saw from me, but they thought, you know what, they saw that I'd excel at anything that I really obsessed about. So I think that, like, luckily they trusted me in that endeavor, that I was going to find that path. And so when I got into filmmaking, it was all about, storytelling for entertainment. And then through this path of going into the film industry, and then really seeing the ugly side of exploiting one's passion, exploiting like a, really exploiting storytelling, exploiting art for money. I just saw how miserable people in that industry were. People, and specifically people who were 10 years down the line from me, were at a place where they were jaded, and they still hadn't gotten their shot. They were still getting the coffees. They were still the assistant director. And it was almost like this industry was dangling a carrot all the way down the field for them. And 10 years later, they had nothing to show for it. And by then I had started, I was always a self-starter. Like, through film school, I was always making my own films, because I knew that if I wanted to be a director, I have to direct. Like, I I can't wait for anyone to give me a shot. And so by that point, I was already directing music videos, and I was producing in Atlanta. I had gone to Atlanta, and I had recently come back. And I just remember having a conversation with someone who was, they told me how envious they were of me. And so that's when the spirituality kind of started kicking in. It was like, okay, I'm onto something here. I'm onto something where it's like, I'm not feeling envy around others. So I'm already feeling like I was kind of unplugging from that really, like, lower vibration that people fall into, where they're not in tune with their spirit and what their spirit wants to, what impact their spirit wants to leave on this earth before they pass. Like, why are we here? Why are you here? Is it just to slave away at a 9 to 5 so you can get enough money to retire so that you can die, a 9 to 5 where you don't really think that your job is making much of a difference in the world in
Mhm.
any capacity that you care about. So for me, when I went in from the industry and I went from music videos, what came next was looking, well, how can I make this a sustainable living?
Mhm.
And I think I just fell into this world of, there was an auto shop down the street that really needed, they were about to go out of business, and it was a friend's auto shop, from high school. It was her family's business, family owned small business. And I remember coming in, and they were like empty, but they gave me the best service I had ever had on my car. They didn't try they did despite the fact they were struggling, they still didn't try to do what a lot of these other auto shops do, to especially younger, customers, where they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and they're trying to trick you, and they're trying to give you all this big list of things that aren't even a problem.
Yeah.
And so I saw that they had this really special thing, this their brand, their everything about who they were was deserved way more business. And I knew that if people had saw this, if all the people I know who are complaining about getting ripped off by auto shop, like all we need to do is we need to find how do we create better marketing. So upon auditing their website, their Google, it started to become clear to me, and I let them know, hey, I think I can help you guys out here. I'm no expert in all the branding and marketing stuff. I didn't go to school for it, but I think I know how to I know what to do, and I can figure it out. So
Mhm.
I got them. The first thing was the video, and the video actually, the more I did research into it, getting a really good piece of content, authentic, unscripted, something that really represents a brand and who they are and their passion, that their honesty, that is going to boost the SEO of the website. It's going to do a lot of things for a website. So first and foremost, that's what I started with my clients was getting a centerpiece 2 to 3 minute brand story that really represented who they are, why they're passionate, why you can really trust that they're not just in it for the money was
Mhm.
a big one.
Mhm.
And it ended up ranking them way up to the top page of Google, one of the top three in Burbank. And totally, I built them a website, threw the video on it. It
Mhm.
was a simple site, but it completely boosted their Google searchability. All of a sudden, no more than a year later, I came by and the shop was filled, and there's cars all, and all parked. Their lot is full, and I'm kind of go in, and I remember it happened slow and then all at once, and I just remember the owner Tino coming up to me and telling me, hey man, this is all thanks to you because we didn't like you were
Wow.
the one thing that we changed. We just hired you, and then they only hired me for I think it was a 6 month window, and then the traction started coming on because the SEO kicked in, and it was a long term effect where their website now they're visible.
Yeah.
So from there, it was I'd say that there was when I look back at like the spirituality
Mhm.
of for me, like my North Star in my company brand story, it's always been about the stories that really deserve to be told. There's often a spirit of passion, of compassion for the customer,
Mhm.
of compassion, like passion for what they're doing, usefulness, purpose,
Mhm.
um, that I find that is so it's a very consistent theme when I look into near-death experiences and I hear testimony of people who've been to the other side and have connected and sort of plugged into that universal collective consciousness and received those downloads for what the purpose of their life was, whether
Mhm.
they missed it or not.
Mhm.
And a big recurring theme is, what was your purpose? Were you being useful? Were you helping others? Because we're not here for ourselves. We are here to learn and grow,
Mhm.
but one of the most fulfilling ways that in my life that I've found now through brand story, and I'm so thankful that I get to do this now for a living, is to help others in a way that's really profound for me, which something that's really important to me because for a long time in my upbringing, I didn't feel seen or heard, and I felt like my family wasn't seen or heard.
Mhm.
Um, and so to be able to create films now that can help others become seen, heard, understood, trusted, and help build connections where there was division,
Mhm.
um, that's to me, that really is where the spirituality behind what I do, um, it's meaningful. It's meaningful work.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I mean, really tapping into the deeper essence of what's really happening, that the heartfelt service that that company wants to bring forth, for example, like, and where that comes from. There's a story of why they have that level of care or concern for their customer, right? Different, everybody has their own story, right? And why they're so for that. And it's different for each person. I mean, just as a starting point, and yeah, they have like you have your own brand story, and there's a lot that goes into yours, all your personal experience, everything informs the passion that you have for the work you do. You know, we could talk about your brother, right? And you know, how your brother is, you know, I'll let you talk about that, but like the struggles with, you know, growing up in a family where were like, keep them out of the way, you know, keep them behaved or whatever, all those things because of the issues that your brother has. But like, there's so many things that, you know, when I think about you, I think about that story because you told it. You know, you showed us a clip about it or whatever. You've told us about it, and now I remember that always is like that. There's a spiritual or heartfelt connection that I have with you that even grows because of that story, you know?
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it really does. Whereas a lot of other marketing and branding, you know, I guess, you know, sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's like, well, your personality and your values and everything, but you know, I guess like sometimes it can miss the mark in terms of getting into that deeper, you know, connection, where people are like they just feel it and they're emotional about it and they're really like, yes, yes. And that's what I see, like what you helped to create.
Yeah, appreciate that. I do feel that storytelling is at the center, is at the like everything uses storytelling. Every effective teacher uses storytelling. Even math uses storytelling to say,
Mhm.
hey, you got this X apples and then you got this amount of oranges and then whatever. It's like anecdotes and metaphor and all of these, forms of storytelling are used to create deeper memories, deeper connection to an idea. Yeah, I do see story as like the genesis of the root of a lot of ideas that we carry is because we heard a story that really got us to believe in this philosophy or in this and believe in or not believe in certain ways of certain people, certain brands, certain it all comes down to a story we heard that creates that belief.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear speakers talk, it's not always, but many speakers, that's where they start. Let me tell you my story, right? I grew up in Alabama or whatever, wherever it starts. Like there's some story, a little shanty, and we're broke and could barely eat, and then you know, then this happened, that happened, and it's this whole thing, and you start feeling it gets you into your feeling energy for them and your compassion and your that's could call it spiritual connection, and it's like you just all instantly you start to melt. You just really care about that person. Then when they say what they're passionate about, what their purpose is because of that, oh yeah, I mean I see it with myself when I tell my stories and be like I was called Mr. Invisible in high school, and
Mm.
you know, and I just felt like I didn't belong, and I was just kind of like F all this, and you know, I would just want to grow up and do something. I don't know. I meant to impact people's lives. I don't know what it is. All I know is, you know, I shouldn't even be at this high school nonsense, and I was rejecting everything. And the minute, see, even if I tell that little bit of story, some people are already saying, "Yeah, that's me too." I'm like,
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate. And my high school experience was pretty brutal too. In senior year, I took an antibiotic that totally it like dissociated me from and I felt like a totally like a numb shell of a I lost touch with reality.
Mm,
um I lost a lot of friends or people I thought were friends, but they weren't really around and there for me when I actually needed support. Mentally they're just like, all right, this guy's weird now, he's not fun to be around, all right, let's stitch him. um but I think that those dark times are great. They really do. Adversity really forges I think without that really uncomfortable, that really dark time, that really forces us to get really introspective and like learn, yeah, like really get spiritual and get closer to God. When we've lost all hope, there's nothing left to turn toward. That's hopefully where we find we can start to lean on the spirit, on our guides, on God,
Mhm.
on those spiritual modalities that can get us closer to the truth, get us closer to, tap into like who we are. I'm curious though, now that we got into your story, if you
I've got
don't
more
mind me
stories.
ask
Yeah,
you,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I'll take the interview chair for a second. Um, what do you feel like was the inflection point for you where you went from Mr. Invisible to I have found my purpose? I've found like, well, I'm curious what those plot points looked like for you.
Mm. Hmm. Well, it took a while. It definitely didn't happen right after high school, that's for sure. But I got into creative writing at that time, and I thought that's what I was going to do. Well, I'm, more inward, and I'm just gonna, I've kind of got a flair with my imagination for writing, and so I was going to do creative writing, and I think that's what I'll do, and that's what was my major going into college, and then I was like, well, I'm not, but compared to the best of the best, I'm not that good. Compared to the best of the best creative writers in the world when it comes to like, at that time, it was like the limited options. Create a bestseller to make money. I mean, we didn't have so many ways to make money back in the early 90s, by doing creative writing. There wasn't as many ideas around that. So I was like, okay. Then I went into psychology because I wanted to figure out, well, what's making me tick? What's more so other people even. I was like, I'm so interested. Why are people the way they are? And so that got me into that. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I need to get over like this inhibition I have. So after college, I went into sales and I did outside sales selling copiers. Now, my, I remember my mom say, "What are you, glutton for punishment? Why are you doing that when you're, introverted, basically?" I'm like, because I have to get over it. I have to grow. I have to challenge myself. I feel I need to bring in this energy of enrollment because I would never ask girls out on dates, nothing, because my sister got pregnant, kind of, not married or in a committed relationship. She didn't even know who the father was. I was like, I'll never be that guy. And then I just so many ways of repressing my power and my energy. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to get over that. And I don't think I consciously thought that, but I just thought I need to learn how to sell. I need to enroll. And so I did that. I was a very persistent person. I learned persistence in sales and show up no matter what. There is a numbers game to it in a sense, for sure. And I wasn't very successful, but I was very successful in sustaining the job. Like, no, like they just loved my energy and my persistence. So they just kept giving me chance after chance, even though a lot of other people get fired for the results I had. They just kept me around. Like, no, maybe I could do telemarketing too. And maybe I kept coming up with ideas too. I was good for coming up with ideas how I could help. And some things did spark, some things did. Ultimately, it wasn't a fit. I went back, got my master's in clinical psychology. And fast forward that, like, once I started being like, okay, I need to super achieve. I started, falling asleep on my books at night. Every single night I would pass out reading. And because I wanted to be the very best. But I ended up on medication because of it, because it fried me. And so after that happened, it was kind of an awakening of like, okay, this idea of push really hard and this isn't working for me. I can't do that. It doesn't work for me. So, so I learned that lesson. So many things. I tell my whole life story, but then what happened was then I had like all of my professors, my main professors, like that were on my committee for my thesis and everything. When I was getting my master's in clinical psych, they all said, "Well, you have deficiencies. We have to hold you back from your, going on your internship. They call it an externship, and you need to do this and you need to do that. We're holding you back and all that." And it's like, what? It's like, like a lot of things were just some of it, there were truths in there, but it's like it didn't make any sense. Nobody thought like this. Everybody was outraged. There was like, what is going on with these people? And the real issue was I was different. I asked a lot of questions. I was not the norm. Punish the one that asks questions, stirs up shit. Let's punish him. And so I learned that. And I learned like if you wanted to get through a system, you had to play by the rules. You had to kiss their asses. You had to do whatever you needed to do to get through so you could get out of the prison and move on. So I did that. And then I get out in the world and got fired from my first job, my master's degree. Okay, you don't fit in again. They said literally, you don't fit in here. And then after that, I finally got in with working with chronically mentally ill, and I fit in perfectly. Okay, now you really fit in, and I actually got stolen away from another company that gave me a big raise because they needed help and they liked me. And so it went just to flips. Once I found the right people to be working with and the right role, like now it's just the opposite, right? Oh, you're great. And so I did that for a number of years. Then I got into metaphysics and spirituality. I'm going to fast forward some of the story, but that really helped me find my power, my strength, in a more centered, true way. And then from there, I was doing private practice, counseling as well, and did other jobs, in counseling. But study hypnotherapy and all this stuff, and how do we take, how do we work, and anyway, this has been a big journey. And then when I got online in 2006, I was just like, okay, I'm going to be on Oprah tomorrow, and like I was just like so gung-ho, and I was so dialed into this metaphysics thing. I'm like, I think, therefore I am, therefore it is. I was like really in that mode, and it did help me in a lot of ways. I did get in on Oprah, but it really like propelled me. And but I struggled for a long time in business though, like because the money thing was an issue for me. And I broke through that. I started making money, started doing well, and I started dialing in my deeper latent powers to be able to tune into people and to be able to say, like this morning, like you're a little late for an interview, I'll just say, and like I was like, he's sleeping. I just know he's sleeping. Like, how do I know that? Because I'm freaking tuned in. I mean, we all are, but like I very tuned in. Some when I really wanted to tune in, oh my God, it's scary what I know, right? Like, oh my God, like. So that's what I became known for. This is the energy scan guy. He can tune into you, and he does this, like channeling information, and he can help shift your energy. And then I really had a desire to help people learn how to sell because they have to, and to gain customers and stuff, because that was a big issue healers have. So I had a whole academy for invincible healers, did that for many years, very wonderful business. And then I got into, after that, that closed up just because I got spirit just told me this is done. You did what you're supposed to do here, and now move on. And then I did a number of things, including business coaching. And like, like I told you, I'm do a marketing. I don't know, like I got 5 titles, I think, with one company, right? Like marketing, sales, business manager, whatever. He's here to help us out, And then so I do that on top of business coaching. And now I just launched recently, like Lead Like Jesus and Manifest Miracles in 2024. And it's all about like there's a whole, getting back to near-death experiences and stuff like that. There's a whole nother dimension to who we really are, that yeah, you can listen to spirituality, you pick up on it some, but there's a whole nother level that we can live from that really isn't talked about that much. And I'm bringing a light to that so people can actually manifest from that deeper space, heaven on earth frequency, and to really lead like Jesus, to be a truth teller, be fiery, and also be fully connected and manifest, everything, and be the magical, miracle worker you are, healer that you are, all those things. But the only way I was able to get to this point in my life where I could even represent something like, and I channel Jesus and all that stuff, as part of the deal. And it's the only way I was able to get to this point it's through the fire of all those tribulations. Like I'm not seen, I'm not acknowledged, I'm not showing up as who I am either, right? So as the more and more I would show up as who I am, the more people will be like, we love that, right? And there's always people are like, you're full of crap, you're a scam artist, whatever, all the ideas that are out there. And so yeah, so I mean that's my big story. You give me an inch, I'll take a mile. I mean, but that, I know you like the story, so
I
there's
love it. No,
story.
I want to hear more. I am curious to what you would say to someone who's just at the beginning of their spiritual journey. Maybe they feel a little stuck and maybe they feel like the invisible man in their own lives.
Mhm.
I'm curious what you would what type of wisdom you would impart. It sounds like with the the miracles, the lead like Jesus,
Mhm.
I'm that's really intriguing to me. I think that you should definitely write a book on that if you aren't already, because I do love that idea of like how do we get closer? How do we lead? Like really, Jesus is one of his big, messages, I think, or hopes was that he would inspire the next wave of leaders, to carry on his message and to lead in their own communities.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, past life regression anyway, and there's others that are saying this online too that are talking a lot about Jesus, but like being a disciple of Jesus, showed up. My middle name is John, like who knows, soul fragments, everything. I don't know, that there's so many people that say they're the same person. I have no attachment to it. All I say is this is what came through, this is what happened, right? I just share my story, right? So yeah, I mean, we have been conditioned to be in a way that isn't the deeper essence of who we are. And that's what I'm here to, you know, is to help people to bust through, to fully awaken on so many levels. And first and foremost, like realize who you are. You're so plugged in, you're an infinite being. I mean, do you realize that you're connected to that? And people that go to the other side, because I do want to weave that into our conversation, like when people go to the other side, but because synchronistically, I've been watching those videos, on YouTube, people like that go, and so many of the ones I'm listening to, yeah, I went there and Jesus was there. Like so many times I'm hearing Jesus was there. Like,
Hmm.
okay. And I don't even know if, I mean, probably most of them are Christians, but Christian background. But I think a lot of them probably aren't, is my guess. I don't even know. I haven't listened to it as many as you have. And then we do a lot, sometimes they do live reviews or whatever, or whatever it is, but all of a sudden it's like they get these deep insights and understandings and they feel infinite bliss or connection. They're all it's always they say we're telepathically communicating and
Yep.
is the sense of the experience, right? And then often when they come back, they're more plugged in and they got abilities sometimes. They're super psychic, they know incredible things, and it's phenomenal, but we don't all need to like have a near death experience to let that happen. It's here now, guys. What needs to die is the idea that you're anything less than the magnificence that you are, the oneness with source. And when you have someone like myself and other teachers, of course, but that can help you show you who you really are and demonstrate it so it gets beyond your sense of belief that I'm just some limited human being living out this life and maybe I don't know, where this is all going. Like, yeah, once you tap into who you really are, man, you can help so many people and the wonders that you get to experience in life, like things just happening just magically, like this podcast even, like just things just pop in. I didn't plan Red Pill
Mhm.
XP, right? I didn't plan that I'm in a group that where they all say they were disciples of Jesus and they're all 6 and 8 figure, entrepreneurs, and I'm in a mastermind like that now. I didn't plan these things. They came into me because I raised my hand, I says, I'm ready, right? I raised my hand and said, I'm ready. I recognize who I am. I'm ready. And then they start happening. But they don't. So the advice I would give, getting back all the way to your question, is somebody feels invisible, but they feel this sort of spiritual connection. Like I always had that feeling inside. That spark within is to just start trusting it. Start meditating, number one. Like that's like square one. I always tell people, start meditating, get more centered. Because once you start meditating, because I was depressed. Everybody who's not being themselves is depressed at some level. Start meditating. That will help you get into that deeper essence of who you are. Then, from there we can start working with your gifts more, right? Like your intuitive, psychic gifts, your ability just to manifest really anything that you allow to manifest. It is given to you is what I want. It's asking it is given this morning. I was thinking, it is given. Everybody's chasing something. It's like it's given. Guys, you don't even have to ask once you get connected enough. It's just like your soul just has a sense, yeah, I'd like that. And then it happens. It really is that fast once you really connect it. So it is given, guys. Like there's so many things. And that's just, could go on and on. But I would just tell them like take one step at a time, love yourself, start meditating, start appreciating yourself, create space for yourself, and then start just being different. Be different. In other words, be different. In other words, follow your own intuition, your own pulse of the infinite within you to dance, to play, to do whatever the hell you want, because you know what? This life form is going to be over in like 2 seconds, is how I look at it. Like all of a sudden one day you're like, oh my God, I'm dying now. Okay, the whole life is over now. All right. Like it's going to happen that fast. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, I would just say, what are you waiting for? Start being your goofy, silly self, because my tribe, anyway, I think all of us are weirdos anyway. But like, we're all, so supposedly we're not, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's weird. This is weird. Everything's weird. I go to a party, I start dancing, or like even a party where nobody's dancing, they have some music, I start dancing. Everybody's like, he's a weirdo. Was he drunk? Like, no, I'm just having fun. You go, come on, loosen up, everybody. Let's enjoy life. Yeah. So I would just tell somebody like, listen, just start showing up the way you want. All the things you're afraid, the ways you're afraid to show up, start showing up those ways. Those are good starts, good starting points.
I agree. I agree. I'd say that the more I went after the things that scared me,
Mm-hmm.
on the other side of that, there was always light. The things I wanted that scared me. I think that fear is actually a great indicator. If you're afraid of what people are going to think, if you're afraid of going after the dream, doing something that is your dream, and something that really it's like, oh man, I'd love to do that, but no, it's not for, I'm not one of those people that is those when you get into those mental blocks, that's to me where I lean into God, and I lean into spirit, and I go like, what is really what's truth? What's true for me? What's true for my spirit? What do I really, is this for me? And is this going to be worth it? Because everything's hard. People will say, it's too hard. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to let go. I don't have enough time to practice that instrument, even though I love that instrument and I would love to do it. Not in this lifetime, or maybe in 10 years. They push it off. There is no 10 years. There's only the present. So for me, I think that's been a big one, is even just inspiring those around me who I see they have these dreams and these visions for their life, and they want to help people in certain ways. And for instance, my girlfriend, when we met 3 years ago, she was very much, she wanted to do, she wanted to help people. She a lot of obstacles had come into her way, like where she had felt almost like this isn't going to happen for me because COVID happened. She had to stop going to school, so she couldn't study AIL anymore. Um, and she or sorry, ASL, American Sign Language, and she was like at that point in a really place that was, she felt stuck. And I think that that's a place where I've really enjoyed to try to be there and inspire the people in my life, whether it's my girlfriend, helping her kind of tap into, well, you really want to help people, not, of course, ASL is great and that's a great North Star, but how can we could help people every day. You don't even, it doesn't have to be something that you have to have a certification for, or you have to have gone to college for, or you have to have gotten the degrees, and then you have to get in a paying job salary to help people. You can help people today. You can help people in the way you want to help people today. How can you go and do that? When I went to that auto shop that I mentioned previously, where I helped them turn their business around, and now they're thriving. That happened not because I was looking for money, because I saw a place, I saw something that I can actually, oh wow, I can help them. And I took money out of the equation. And maybe I didn't get paid what maybe I was generous and I didn't get paid with cash, but that testimonial became invaluable, because that to one that showed me that I could help people. It showed me my capabilities. So that was a great experience and a great opportunity. And then on the flip side, I have now that testimonial from the auto shop. I have their testimony of how I helped them. that is invaluable, because that's now going, that became one of the pillars. Testimonials became a huge pillar of how I built my brand, of how people were able to trust me, seeing the previous work I'd done. So I would just say that's for me the another word of advice, while we're on that topic, that I like to give starting entrepreneurs or starving artists or people who aren't sure where to start. And it's like, if you just help one person with your art, with your gifts, and if you just go out and you create, let's say you want to start a podcast, and maybe you could attest to this, and I'm starting a podcast, and so I feel like I'm about to experience this, where you're like comparing yourself to all of these people out there that have way bigger followings, and when you're just starting out, it's like, oh man, people are going to really look at me like I'm like, oh, this guy, it's not, they're not going to take me seriously, or this, and you start getting in your head about what people think. And it really comes down to like, one, nobody cares. Nobody really is thinking about you that much. Like, so there's that element to it, where it's like, nobody cares, man. Like, if you trip and fall, maybe one person will see it, and you're gonna get back up, and then in 5 seconds they're gonna forget it ever happened.
Mhm.
And then two, it's like, if this podcast goes out and there's one person that hears it and it changes their life, then it was worth it.
Mhm. Right.
Does in that way, it's like, you don't have to go and have millions of viewers. Really creating this and doing your passion, and you were able to go and make the difference in one person's life. That is, to me, that brings me closer to God,
Mhm.
right? That type of stuff brings me closer to my spirit, and my spirituality, which is, really to be here to make a difference for others, and I think, whether it's one, whether it's 10, whether it's 100, in time, yeah, hopefully the impact will grow as as you practice. Everything takes practice. Nobody starts off good at something.
Yeah. But
Everybody
until I
starts.
get good, then I'll bring it out into the marketplace, so to speak, right now.
Yeah.
List certifications and everything. I got to keep working on my marketing first, and I'll bring it out there. I've got to practice video. I can't even turn on the video and talk yet, or whatever. Like, you know, okay, just get started, do something. Okay. I
Mhm.
mean, there is not a day that goes by in my business virtually that I don't have some level of anxiety and fear about what I'm doing.
Oh
There's
yeah.
not a single freaking day. And it's not like there's a necessarily a justifiable reason for this sense of anxiety and fear underneath. Like, it's not like I haven't done all the things that I'm about to do often in some form or fashion. Sometimes they're new, but a lot of it, it's like the same thing. It's like I still have an anxiety and fear kind of vibe in it. And some of it is just excitement, you could say too, but like there's still a feeling of uncomfortable. It's not comfortable. It's like, oh, I'd just rather not do it. Like there's that idea around, right? But it's like, no, it's like that is the path, is to continue to feel very uncomfortable, is the pathway of expansion, bliss, joy, fulfillment. And I think too often people are just told, just follow the light, easy, joyful path. That doesn't work for most people. I don't, maybe it works for somebody, but I don't think it works for most people. You have to allow yourself to get extremely uncomfortable, because the bliss really is on the other side of that discomfort. I mean, I've seen it again and again on my path. I've had to do so many things that felt uncomfortable. Not that you every single moment of the day you're uncomfortable. I'm just saying you're going to have to face that and do it anyway, because the mind takes over, and it's like we seek comfort, we seek safety, and so then it just shuts you down, it talks you out of it, and then you just stay the same, because again, that's true. Everybody that says like your brain's just trying to keep you safe and keep everything the same so you can stay safe, that's true. There's a part of your brain that wants to do that, but there's also the spirit and the soul inside of you that says no. Don't go with that. You're much more than that. You're more than that little mind that's all worried about your safety and fear, and you got to step into that. So I think that's phenomenal that you got to take that shot. I have one of my clients that said, he's doing really well even. And then he's like, he was hesitating for a little while, and he's like, I just decided I'm going to take my shot, right? I'm going to take my shot. That's right. I'm like, that's right, brother. You got to take your shot. You just keep
Yep.
shots. Think of Michael Jordan. Think about, all these people that we could talk about, right? They kept taking shots. They just kept coming. And things are going to happen as long as you stay committed to service, to taking those shots. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, oh, it didn't work out. I don't know why things aren't working. Yeah, hey, you got to show up for it. You show up for it, it'll happen. I mean, so I know with what you do, Evan, is you help people to really, I think part of what the power of what you do is when because you help people to tell their story and then put it into video form and to cut it up and put it out there and whatever, all different kind of ways, all the things you do. But like one of the things you really do is you see people and you're able to capture who they are and have them receive that, help them to see it for themselves even, and then you capture it on film and through storytelling, and then share that with the world, and people could see the soul essence of their brand, or the essence of who they are, and then they're like, and then there's that connection, there's that synergy then within themselves and with the people they want to help. And it just, you want to talk about law of attraction or whatever, it's like all of a sudden that turns that energy on. And then, yeah, there's the mechanism, it's online and all this stuff, and people see it and it gets viral or goes on the search engine. Yes. But it's also like energetic, deeper thing that's happening as well. And it's all connected, but that's why it goes high on the search engines. And part is why what I want to say is because there's that deeper connection that you're bringing people into on all those levels I described. So yeah, it's really special what you do. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, likewise, I think it's special what you do. And I really like that you are a seeker. Like you called me a consummate student. Like you're continuously looking to expand and grow. And I find that so many, specifically of the people later in life in my world, my whether it's in my relatives, specific relatives, or specific people I know who are closer into their 50s and 60s and so on, they got to a point where they felt they knew it all.
Mm,
They got to a point where they're like, well, no, you're wrong, I'm right. This is what the either the Bible says or this says, and it's no other way.
mm,
And I find that those people, they stopped learning, they stopped growing because they're like, well, I just know everything now.
mm,
And I just think it's to me, I just laugh. I just laugh. And I try to not take it too, I try to not take them too seriously. And I try not to tell them those types of people, it's very hard to get them out of their way of thinking. It's very hard to get them to kind of loosen up and go, hey, whoa. I try the best I can to just be like, hey, okay, all right, whatever you say. But that's not, agree to disagree, but sure.
mm,
But what I love about even just in your background, you're talking about leading like Jesus. You also have Buddha. You've got these different enlightened beings from different cultures and different perspectives on human, on our history, on human nature and spirituality from these different angles. And I love that because again, even for instance, I think of old friends I had who were very strictly atheist,
mm,
um, and thought, well, there's no deity, there's no spirituality, there's no soul, there's no spirit. Sure, those are Disney concepts, but when it comes down to it, science, 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 science,
yeah.
science.
Mhm.
And I'm curious your take. I'd love to hear your take, and then I can give some of mine around how these different religious philosophies tie in together. How if are they where are the connections there? Like that someone like you are you're learning from these very different religions,
Mhm.
different back cultures.
Mhm.
And then also like where does science also enter into it for you?
Mhm. Well, for me, I mean, when we talk about science, we're talking about, for me, I go to the like quantum physics, right? Like that's where I look because once you look at quantum physics, the other sciences start to look a little fuzzy, right? Okay, well, there's this observer effect, right? Like you can pretty much see whatever you want to see in the field, like the field of energy, the field of matter, like. Okay, however you're intending to see this microscopic world or whatever, the quantum world, like that's how it shows up. I was kind of expecting to see this effect when I looked in there. Then another experiment, let me look at it. I was kind of expecting something else. See, I see it jumping the other way. That electron's going the other way. No, I see it going the other way. Guess what? They're both right because that's what's some part of their consciousness believes that that's what they're going to see somewhere in their conscious. It may not always be conscious, but that's what they're seeing. And so it's just a projection of the mind. It's just a projection of the mind. So science is no different. And I can say that too, again, because I have a science degree, actually. I'm not a hard science or whatever, but like I did studies, right? We had studies. Guess what we did with those studies? I'm like, I have a theory. XYZ is true. All right, let's do the study. All right, we run the study, get done with the study. Oh shit, didn't work. You know what? Let's try it another way. Right? We would just rerun the study until we got the results that we want, and then we publish it and say, this is science. That's how this shit is working a lot of the times, guys. And that's just one layer of how science gets produced. The other way is that, you got all the publishers out there. They're like, we're only taking XYZ articles or studies that, say what we want to put out there, right? Say, oh, we like that finding. Let's put it in our journal, right? It happens all the time. I mean, there's so many. The observer effect, even, oh, it's triple blind or whatever. Like, there's still an intentional field. You can't get rid of it. It's still a projection of consciousness. That's the real science. Okay, that's the hardest science because that blows people's minds once we go deeper down the rabbit hole. Because what are you saying? Gravity is real. I've got the formula right here, how it works. I guarantee you, put me into a lab, okay? Give me I might take a few hours or a few days or a few minutes. I don't know. I'll make you show that your formula is a bunch of bullshit. I can do that. I promise you I could do it. I promise you I can do it. I know everybody's gonna think I'm nuts, but it's true. Oh my God, it's floating. We didn't notice, we didn't realize that could happen. What's the formula for that? And let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. So spirit is always leading, and the mind's always trying to figure out the formula. How did that work? And it's not like science is no good. I'm not, I'm not saying there's nothing to it because there's effects happening. We can do a lot of good for people by studying things through science. There's no question. Okay. I'm just saying there's so much crap though out there about science. And I know a lot of scientists say, no, but that's what we believe. We just rigorous and we constantly try to disprove ourselves and blah, blah, blah. I know, but there's a lot of people that use those studies to try to say they've got the truth. And they don't have the truth. They have, ideas and what seems to be true right now. And maybe that's good to know about. Maybe it's good to be aware of for sure, but to take it as absolute, oh my God. And then get back to what you said just a little while ago, too. I feel like I've become less certain, more doubtful about things in a way. Like I've become less certain in certain respects as I've gotten older. When I was in my 30s, I'm confident. Metaphysics is all there is. That's all we need to know about. Like, and I'm like, and then I started realizing, oh, there's even this deeper spirituality thing. And like, like I continue to realize like how no, you don't have everything figured out by a long shot. Like even on the spiritual level, like I thought I was, when I first started, I started thinking I know everything because I gotta figure it out. No, no. The minute you think you got to figure it out, it's just the opposite. You don't know anything. So,
Well, yeah, yeah. I think that for like what I've noticed is that a lot of people get stuck in one lens. They like for me, it's like as a filmmaker, I'm used to swapping different one lens, and then I see the world a certain way, and then I take that lens off, and I can put on my wide lens. I can get the wide view of everything. And I think a lot of people they get that one lens on, like that telephoto tunnel vision lens, and then they get stuck. They're like, oh, okay, this really resonates with me. There's like some kind of truth to this, and I'm really just going to go all in on this one thing. It has to be this way or that way. It can't be both. And I just think that that's, to me, that breaks my heart. That people get stuck there some for their entire lives, where they get stuck into a thinking that they're very maybe like one denomination of religion has made them see that like it has to be this way. You have to live this type of life. You can't be this way. You can't be homosexual. You can't be you can't like that's a big one. That's a big one. Like even today in a lot of modern forms of specific like religions, like structured religions, there's like a this there has to be a sexuality to it. Like they get into like these modes of control. To me, that was a big one for Christianity. I had a friend who had come out to me, and I was like, my world broke because I was like, no, that's a sin. Oh, but I have to still love them. Like, which one is it? Like, which one is it? Like, well, there can only be one thing. Like, what's the most important thing? And like the when I really looked into it and I really, really like tapped into like, well, okay, what's Jesus? What's his number one? What is number one for him? Do not judge others. Love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, right?
Mhm.
And when that occurred to me, I started looking at all these other elements that people cherry pick out of the Bible, and they'll say, "Oh no, but this right here says it's a sin," and then they'll use this over here. This scripture says that we have to be the ones that all of a sudden go on a crusade against everyone like that because we need to make sure that people stop sinning, and then it's to take it upon ourselves to. And then it's like, dude, you're getting away from Jesus's number one rule: do not judge others.
Yeah.
Do not judge, and you shall not be judged. Right? Do not like chastise, and you will not be chastised. There's these fundamental beliefs that, for me, that started getting me to say, okay, there's truth here. There's also a lot of stuff that you need to use discernment. There's stuff. There's Old Testament stuff. There's stuff in the Bible and every religious scripture and every text that was written by man from
Mhm.
one perspective, from one lens. The Bible was written by men.
Mhm.
The Bible was mass produced by the Roman Catholic Church, the same church that executed Jesus.
Mhm.
So there's only so much, I think, there's only so much certainty and so certain you can become about something before you all of a sudden find yourself now in the new dead end, or the new where now you've hit the ceiling. And to find out, to not go outside of that, now your spiritual evolution has now essentially stagnated for all of eternity until you finally find your way out of that loop.
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
like for me, science, a lot of people get stuck there. I've seen like old friends, they're like, it's just science, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but if you get stuck there, I mean, with no spirit, now then you see those people that they're stuck in that job that they hate. And it's like they're prioritizing they're prioritizing money, they're prioritizing what people think of them, the image, all of that stuff, because they're just seeing that surface level. They're just seeing like the physical, and
Mhm.
they haven't taken the time to go to the metaphysical.
Mhm.
And so that's where I love that you're studying Buddha and you're studying the Bible and you're studying these different and metaphysics, the science behind it, because that really it's like a student for life. And like when you really educate and you really get into like these different perspectives and studying these different enlightened beings, you start to see the bigger picture.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Right, right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it expands your consciousness, your awareness of what the heck might be going on, And the minute somebody has it figured out, like there's always people, even myself, like I have to be open to new perspectives constantly because I am pounding on the pavement for something, right? I'm like, okay, there, you can't open your mouth without having some kind of belief structure, basically, right? So, but that's okay. I mean, that's okay as long as you're, for me, it's all about the Sacred Heart and just serving love as best as we can. And that's and bring people back home. Jesus always says, come back home, and I assume like I'm meant to help circulate that energy to help bring people back home. And yeah, I've listened to some people, the near-death experiences is like it's saying the same thing when they go over there. Yeah, just something about, eventually you're going to come back home, right? This idea of coming back home. But we could come back home to a certain degree right here on Earth, back home to the emanation from which we come and have it on Earth. is a possibility. And many people with the visions of the future can see that. They can see there's a level of heaven on earth, at least, that can be embodied on this planet down the road. Like we're putting down we're putting down the foundations now for it. So it's all hands on deck. There's no screwing around. Well, I'll just wait. Give me 10 years. Yeah. Oh my God, you crazy? I mean, we don't have any time left. We
Yeah.
just don't have any time left for it. It's now's the time. There's a tremendous amount of urgency to just finally just wake up. Put it simply.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, these days it is there are forces out there that are making it more distracting and more difficult than ever, I'd say,
Mhm.
to it's not that it's more difficult than ever, but there are forces definitely out there that are trying to steal that spirit, whether it's the phones, man. I see so many people on their phones now, their damn phones, just like not even living life. Just, they're coming home from work and they're just literally losing the rest of their whole day. That time that should be there is that the time where they're like, okay, I'm working to get this money just so I can like have this some time that's free. And then because of how, maybe they're in a job they don't like, or they're stressed out, they're literally just giving the rest of their time to this phone.
Mhm.
And it's like, what part of your day are you actually being present? Are you actually like doing something that fills your spirit? What
Mhm.
time of your day are you doing something that's going to like help build your spirit towards something that is really going to fill you up, something that's really going to give you true long lasting fulfillment and joy? Because I'm telling you, the phone is like great while you got it up, and then as soon as you put it down, it's like you literally for that whole it's like that you might as well have just been asleep, because that whole time is like the majority of it's filled with just meaningless, other people. You're consuming other people just kind of sharing their day.
Those
But
priorities,
then what
right?
happened to
Yeah.
your day?
Right.
Your day's gone.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a big one right now that I think my generation and younger generation specifically are gonna need to come like wake up out of that dream.
Yeah.
But it's, you know
Yeah.
hopefully it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go on.
Right.
I think with the near death experiences, you mentioned that a lot of people see Jesus. I just like time going back, jumping back to near death experiences, because I think there's so much truth that I've like, there's so much like, look, like at the end of the day, like you can question these people if, and people will doubt them and criticize. But to me, I can tell when somebody is telling something that's really like they truly it happened to them, like
Yeah.
they're telling a true story. I can always just sense, or I can sense if it's like they're kind of real and they're phoning and they're acting,
Mm.
right? Because also as a director, I've directed actors, I've seen acting performances, and then I've also been behind the camera directing someone about their life story, and I know the difference when somebody's telling the truth. You can see the tears, you can see the not even that they're crying, but you can just see that real the truth just deep
Yeah.
in their eyes. And these people, they believe what they've been through.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that I've heard over the last 10 years, I got really existential back in high school when that antibiotic thing happened to me, because I disassociated. I felt very much like I I guess to put it into like your perspective, like I feel like I kind of got pulled out of that really feeling like you're present, and
Yeah.
I kind of got put into that lucid dreaming. Like I felt like I was seeing my life through like a movie screen. Like I was pulled back into that theater that some people experience their life review in. Like there was some type of separation happening, where I no longer felt like I was a part of the world. I was numb. And it was a lot of these serotonin, these things that this drug was doing to my brain. It was messing with these chemicals, but it was altering my consciousness and the way that my consciousness was connecting, was projecting. Um, and I would have really bad nightmares. I would have these anxiety dreams that would feel like they would go on for eternity. It really did feel like I was like in some type of hell. For like a year, I went through that. And the lasting effects, psychologically, I'd say that the symptoms started to remove, but I still was stuck in this cycle for like through college, really, where it was a constant uphill battle and struggle just to like put myself out there. But through that, I'm grateful for even the darkest of times. I'm grateful because of the perspective they gave me, and really the light I found in those dark times that became way more real than anything I knew previously. For example, I started to really research near-death experiences. And for the last 10 years now, I've gone and I've watched another one. I watched another one, and there's like another story, a new story. And over time, it's like created almost in my mind this map of these all these different perspectives, giving me this bigger picture. A lot of people, no matter what they're atheists, no matter if they're Buddhist, whoever, when they went beyond and they passed and they were clinically dead, had this coming home experience, had this experience where they got to meet Jesus. They also got to meet other figures throughout history, prominent figures. But it was like there was like this download, almost like some of them got all this information, like they plugged into this God consciousness all at once, where they were able to like see the entire universe. They were able to see from the very beginning, and that there was no real beginning, but that they were able to see for at least our world all the way to the beginning, and they were able to see that, that there was really nothing to fear. It was a big recurring theme. There was nothing to fear. A fear was an illusion, and the darkness and the suffering and the pain came from that division, came from that separation of from God, from home,
Mhm.
as we sort of touch down into this physical reality to learn and to grow and to experience hardships, to experience a bit of suffering, but always with the outcome of spiritual evolution,
Mhm.
of attaining higher understanding of the meaning of existence, the meaning of, well, okay, how could you really quantify, how could you put value to life until you died?
Mhm.
Until death was an option, then existence wouldn't really, it puts things into perspective. It lets us see the value of existence. I think just that alone would be worth the ticket onto Earth, and eventually to our demise, to be reborn again. And I just love it because a lot of people come back, yeah, they believe in Jesus, but they also see how all these different religions were the same God, the same light,
Mhm.
attempting to enlighten different cultures on different parts of the world. The world is so big and there's so many cultures. It's not like Jesus was going to be able to reach everyone,
Mhm.
um, all at the same time, right? And so there was these other enlightened beings. There was Buddha,
Right.
there was Muhammad, there was Gandhi, there was all these different beings that like rose up and led their their communities and their tribes to evolve out of those dark ages of early evolution. And that's where the science comes in with the evolution. And what does it take to get to that point of, well, you got to evolve from something. The world had to evolve from a much, nature has its brutality, but I think that when you come out of that and you reach, it's like climbing a mountain.
Mhm.
That's the way I see things now. I see it's like I'm constantly climbing the mountain. I don't know if we'll ever really reach the top. It's like a constant climb, but what I do know is that the view gets nicer and nicer the higher up you go.
Yeah, right. It's true. When you have that higher perspective and you can live from that higher perspective more consistently, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there's just endless. I'm glad you shared all that. That was really fantastic. I mean, yeah, all those things and that, yeah, I mean, guys, again, lighten up, like this is, honestly, we're all, I mean, like I was just listening to a video last night. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have said stuff like this, but Jesus even told one of them that went to the other side, like, yeah, that demonic guy that like murdered your kids and murdered you, he's gonna end up in heaven eventually too. He's gonna burn in the fires to purify his soul, and then he's gonna end up in heaven too. And boy, did that piss her off.
Yeah, I mean that's an extreme example, but yeah, I would say, you know, a lot of people like for instance, my parents are like, no, there's an eternal fire, there's an eternal hell. And I'm like, well, you know, I think eternal,
Yeah,
um, I think you're not giving God enough credit. You know, I think God loves all of his children, no matter how bad they messed up. And I
right.
think that God is down the line, yeah, everyone's going to eventually be redeemed. That
Yeah.
being said, that doesn't mean you get a free pass to do whatever the hell you want,
You
because there
won't
will
you won't want to go
always
you won't want to go to hell, trust me.
there will always be consequences.
Worth it.
Yes. Yes.
Not
There was
worth it.
definitely the 1/5 of people who did go to hell in their near-death experience. And
Yeah.
that did not sound like any fun, you know,
Right. Right.
and it sadly, you know, it had yes, it had to do with the darkness and the evil that they did.
Mhm.
But some people just ended up in there simply because of ignorance, simply because they lived a life of prejudice, because they were they were being that self-righteous person that judged everyone until when they died they realized, uh-oh, this is now going to get all turned around on me, because Jesus said, thou who judges will be judged. You know, don't judge and you won't be judged. So even there's people who were like thought they were at the top of their game, like I know the Bible back to forth. No, it went to hell because they were they ultimately there was a self-righteousness that infected all of their relationships, you
Yeah.
know, and they missed the point. And so I think that ultimately, yeah, those hell near death experiences are also big eye openers of
Yeah.
also the fact that it's not that God is judging you. There, it's not that they got all of a sudden supremely judged by a higher by God, or and it's not that the devil, you know, like that there was this devil that lured them and tricked them and all this stuff. It was that they themselves upon death, they judged themselves. they
Mhm.
they got to the point where they're like, well, I don't deserve the light. I
Yeah.
missed the point, you know, and that darkness and that fire and a lot of it came from their own self condemnation, their own self damn, as they realized they fell short of the light. You know, there was
Mhm.
this this hard emotional state, you know, this hard emotional torment of realizing and then what felt like eternities, you know, what because there's no time on the other side, you know, what
Mhm.
people say, you know, it could have been an instant, it could have been for multiple eternities, but there was all these different forms of hell that really just came from not having found that yeah in life that self-love, that connection with their maker, you know, that the faith in God that pulls a lot of them out of eventually, you know, I have read near death experiences where people were in hell and then they got saved because they turned to God, they humbled themselves, they said, okay, you know, it's your will, not mine. You
Mhm.
know, you know, I'm sorry for being such a spoiled brat or just a, you know, wanting it my way and fighting you all the way. You know, and luckily I have had that come to Jesus, the come to God moment here on earth. So I don't have to, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully I don't have to have that on the other side. But it sounds like this is the
Right.
place you want to have it. Yeah.
A lot easier here than on the other side sometimes.
Well, yeah, one person I remember they said something like, we create our afterlife here and then we step into it.
Right. I mean, again, we're just, yeah, we are having this experience of creating it all, and who knows how it all works. But yeah, it's interesting. You get a lot of clues from the NDE experiences people have had. It's really interesting.
Well,
So,
yeah, yeah, that's where the book comes in, but I'll have to come back on the show
yeah,
when I write it because
totally.
I'm writing a fiction book right now. It's a science fiction psychological thriller.
Awesome. I can't wait. And I know you always have other projects too that we've talked about. But yeah, we look forward to that. And for now, I just would encourage everybody to, connect further with you beyond this show today. It was a fun show and talked a little bit about spirituality and branding and all kinds of other spiritual stuff and cool stuff. But you could see like the way Evan just listened to me as I just told my story, how maybe you guys felt. He didn't even coach me. I just was just talking, right? And he just opened a space. You see how much closer some of you probably got to me, right? And even with Evan, his stories he told too, right? Because although I told the big long story, he told a bunch of stories too, how that brought you closer to Evan. And this is what Evan's really a master at, is helping you to tell your story and then capturing it on film and putting it on social media and your website or whatever, all the different things. And that's all part of his brilliance. So if people want to, connect with you, follow you more, where can they do that, Evan?
Yeah, so you could follow me on Instagram. My name is just Evan_Galeano there. And then also I'm about to make my, way back to YouTube. I've got some stuff in the pipeline. I'm also starting a podcast, and then I'm also starting my YouTube channel. They're gonna be in tandem on the same channel. I'm gonna put episodes out, and then I'll be so. If you want to follow me on YouTube, it's just also at Evan Galliano or youtube.com/Evan Galliano, my full name. But yeah, I look forward to hopefully connecting, and if anyone follows me, I'm just hope I can continue offering my perspective and telling stories that help to inspire and empower and make a difference out there.
Awesome. Yeah, check him out on IG and etc. So, all right. Well, we are at the time of the show where I usually do some quick downloads, so I'm gonna need to leave it a little brief today. But yeah, you ready to receive some downloads so they're coming through?
I'm down.
Okay, awesome. Guys, listen, one of these downloads might be for you too. All right, let's see what's in store for Evan today. It's showing me your voice that, on this show is a great I'm not saying like today's your first day, but like, like today was a good example of like you even using your voice more in the world. Like you building up these different people, but now you also have to continue to have your voice be heard is really strong. Like your voice needs to be heard because that will help with everything else. So that's a big thing coming through. Okay, let's see what else comes through. They're showing me that part of you likes the idea of things being like okay, creative but nice and neat and orderly at the same time, like you'd like to try to strive for that or something, is the vibe I'm getting. And then what I feel like the message I'm getting is like, and this, but they want to double down on it, is it's gonna things again in the creative process things might seem get hectic and dark and crazy, and it's possible that happens. And they're just saying, and I know you do embrace it, but they're just asking you to embrace that even more, that it's okay down, not to, I guess it comes down to that judgment. Don't judge the process, like embrace the whole thing. It's all, if it brings you into more love for yourself and for others, and to just love life itself, I mean, that's the point of the chaos that may emerge in any project you're in. Um, it's always to bring you back to love. So that's the other message that seems to be coming through. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at two today, but yeah, any
I want
quick
more, man.
yeah, you're like, okay.
That's exactly what I needed to hear, dude. Like, that's
Oh
crazy.
wow.
That was
Okay.
crazy.
Oh wow. I'm glad to hear that. So anyway, everybody, if you want to check me out, I probably ought to, I do have Rock Your Sacred Purpose on IG and all that, but maybe I should start promoting that more. Evan gave me that idea today. But you also could check me out at yoursacredpurpose.com. An old school guy, I'm like, hey, what about my website though? Go there, get the meditate, make money meditation, open up your energy and your chakras for more abundance, more downloads, more attunements. Some people listen to it and say, this is a lot more meditate, make money. They feel energy in it, right? So anyway, so check that out. And I also have a Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan that I do. And that's to help me to tune into the essence of who you are, and maybe take a look at your business too, if you have an existing business, and see where things actually want to go. What is your soul meant to be on fire about? Where are you meant to go next with your business, etc.? So check all that out, yoursacredpurpose.com. Evan, this was an epic time together with you today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Any last quick words for the audience?
Oh man, last quick words. No, I hope to see the whoever's out there listening. Like I hope that we can connect, and feel free to follow, because I'd love to make sure that this is a connection that continues, and I'd love to be back on your show, Daniel. I thank you again for having me. You are a great host, and I love this I love your podcast. I love the topics you get into. So I'm a big fan. I'm gonna be tuning in as well from now on as another member of your audience.
Awesome. I'm so grateful you came on. I really appreciate your heart and the wisdom you shared today. Thank you so much. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. As I always say, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till the next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.